Good morning from Helsingborg, Sweden, Olympia Bowl. Matt McNeil, joined by Christus from Kegel. And here we are Sunday already. It seems like just yesterday we were in here talking, and that was over a week ago. So
I was just going to say the exact same thing. It feels like we were just sitting here looking at these screens and trying to talk a little bit about what we see here, and now we're back here, and it's been a week already.
Yeah.
So
here we are in the finals. So game 2 of step 2. We are down to the top 36, yes. So some good scores coming out of the block, you see?
yeah, I think that's expected. When you get some of the top players in the world to get on the same pair of lanes, and they obviously had quite a bit of experience now with these lanes and the pattern. They know exactly what they want to do, and I think that's the result of the scoring pace being a little high. Not a little high. I mean, we're definitely seeing some scores. We've seen quite a few scores through qualifying as well. So I think it's no surprise that we're seeing some really, really good scores right now.
How did you feel overall scoring pace? Cut was 193, was it?
I believe so.
For step 1?
Yep. Every time you do a tournament, of course, you're kind of just guessing where the cut is going to be.
Yeah.
I know we all like to kind of sit around and say, oh, this is going to be this, or what did you, I've gotten so many questions. What do you think the cut is going to be, or what did you plan the cut to be? And honestly, there's so many variables that can dictate that. And then with the format that we have here, with ability to re-enter the tournament, it can fluctuate so much. But I would say I expected the cut to be a little bit lower than it was. Not by a lot. I definitely knew that it was going to be some pretty high scores in qualifying, so I'm not surprised that the cut got to that. But for my perfectionist mind, I think if I could say anything or improve anything, I would say that I would want it to be a little bit lower.
Okay. And that's we get in a world today where it seems lane conditions are always the hot button topic, and I can honestly say I've bowled all over the world at the highest levels, and I think across the board more times than not, you guys at Kegel do probably the best job that I've ever seen, and that's from me as a bowler talking. You, John Janowitz, Doug Dukes, Don Agent, work really, really hard to make sure there's a fair and equitable pattern with, that offers bowlers of all styles an opportunity to be competitive. And I think you guys do a great job either way. And, maybe the scoring pace was a touch higher. Like you say, there's a lot of variables there. But overall, if you look at the amount of entries that we had here in Helsingborg over the last 8 days, and we just saw a front 11 there by, oh no, that's 300. There you go, right there, 300 on 5 and 6. Theodore Samuelson.
Going back to the whole pattern theory, and you were just speaking before we started speaking about 300. It obviously takes a lot of time and testing, of course, to develop these patterns. And we're always trying to create some challenges and create different types of experiences for the bowlers on the lanes. And last year we had the longer pattern, and of course players split in. This year we have a different type of pattern, and the players, obviously, you can see they're starting out. The scoring pace was pretty low last year. They were pretty difficult. This year they're a little bit, let's say easier or higher scoring, more attainable, I should say.
Yep.
So again, I'm pretty happy with that. You know, obviously you don't want to get stuck in the same idea all the time, and
Yep.
I think having a different variety every year,
Yeah.
maybe have some players get a little bit surprised by maybe expecting them to be the same way as it was last year, and we have something a little different. And the idea is to kind of get the bowlers' minds thinking as well. You know, what they need to do and how they need to adjust and how they need to match up to the lanes.
Absolutely. I think a healthy variety is key. You know, that's one of the things. I remember the first year I played the tournament, Doug Dukes did the lane, and, you know, we were over in Malmo, and I played 5th, 6th arrow fallback, you know, which was, I enjoyed it. I mean, I never get an opportunity to play that part of the lane. I thought it was a blast. You know, and then we came here in 2019, and I played, you know, like 6, 7, 8 months of tournament. So, you know, like you said, variety is key, and offering different parts of the lane year to year to year. I think that's one of the great things that keeps people coming back. Oh, it's not going to be the same exact thing every single year. So I just got handed some numbers by Daniel Ronback, who he's the lifeblood of this tournament. And without him, this thing would come to a grinding halt. They had 346 players this year for 913 entries. That
is a very impressive number. Right? That's
pretty good.
It's good to see numbers like that, of course. Actually, yesterday, the final day of qualifying, I heard that some of the squads were like 50, 60, 70 players deep for the waiting list, which I think is very cool. You know, it just shows that players were feeling that they had the chance to qualify.
Yeah.
You know, they had the feeling that they were able to put up a good score, which I think is also a good sign of you know, a pattern being pretty successful, because the people, like, you know, bowlers felt like they wanted to re-enter, so they wanted to improve their score, and they felt like there was some more out there, which is always a good thing when you see that, and from both sides, you know, from the lane maintenance side and from the tournament side as well.
Absolutely, and talking about scoring pace, look at the scoring here in front of us. Nathan Bohr, 279, William, 278, Tidor, 300. Jesper Svensson is the low man on 5 and 6 with 238.
And it's not only this game; it's actually the whole totals too.
Yeah,
look at it.
530.
490. And he's the low guy in the pair.
And he's averaging 245, and he's low guy on his pair. Some more good scoring off to the right. Dominic Barrett off to a very good start, 484. Emil Svensson, 486. How about Eric Larsen, 526 for 2, averaging 263. Paul Purps, 445. So, wow. Lots of big scores out there.
I believe Eric Larsen was the last person to make it, or he bowled the last squad, and I think he needed the last 4 strikes to get in, and I actually watched him throw all 4 of them, and it was very impressive to see.
Yeah, and now he's really taking advantage of it, isn't he?
Sometimes that's all it takes, you know, to have a chance and throw a few good ones to make the cut, and that's all of a sudden you start to get a little bit of a confidence in you, and you know, now the ball comes off your hand a little faster, and you get a little bit more on it. A couple of more pins start to fly around, and here we are, at, you know, going plus 126 over after 2.
Yeah, I always felt when I would just sneak into a cut, like I really started playing loose because I felt like I had nothing to lose anymore. You know, I didn't feel like I was pressing for a number or anything like that. I'm like, well, heck, you know, I'm kind of playing on house money. I probably wasn't supposed to be here in the first place, and now I'm really loose. And
I feel like most of the time, some of those types of bowlers are the most dangerous in the lanes, because
they can.
When they get loose, you know, and they start to feel like they just, you know, it's either I strike or I go home. Then I feel like those are, you know, sometimes those are able to put up some really massive scores.
Well, we have a short break here while the bowlers are changing lanes. Daniel is feverishly updating our ticker so we can keep up-to-date scores. And hope Daniel has a nice holiday planned for himself after this tournament. He's been through quite a lot. You think about 913 entries, plus all the pre-tournament work, plus all the post-tournament work, getting people paid their money, balancing all the accounts, tearing down everything, making sure everything's set to go. Man, just it's there's so much to it that, and bowlers only see a certain amount. So I hope everybody gives their most sincere thanks to Daniel Ronbeck, Martin Larson, of course Patrick Baque here at Olympia Bowl, his staff. How about his staff?
Staff is fantastic here.
Oh my God! How about the food here?
Everything's great in this bowling center. You
I
know,
tell you
from
what.
the staff to the restaurant, you know, to everyone that's involved with this event. It's been a great, I don't know, 10 days now, I believe we spent here. Everything's running, everything has ran smooth so far, and I'm sure the rest of the day will be just as good as the whole week and a half.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, this facility is very, very well taken care of. Patrick's staff does a great job. The food is tremendous. I mean, I've probably put on 3-4 pounds eating all this good food here every day.
Very easy to do here.
But you know, I have been trying to walk it off because it's a nice walk down the hill or up the hill, down the hill, through the park.
This is one of the things that I love about coming here is the fact that everything's it's not a super large city.
Yeah.
So you can walk pretty much everywhere, but there's so many things around. You know, there's so many great restaurants around.
Yep.
Some nice bars around as well for those that like to have a beverage after the event, and some nice coffee shops. You know, everything's so close to one another, and it's just nice when you can just walk around a little bit, get out of bowling center, still have a nice meal somewhere out, and the downtown's beautiful over here, and the weather's been pretty good over the last week and a half, so. So it's just a nice overall experience, I think, for the bowlers and for everyone involved as well. And I always enjoy going to places to where they're somewhat compact and you don't have to drive for 20 minutes to get somewhere and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think as a bowler, you really, really love that because you don't have to rent a car. You can just get to the hotel, park, kind of have that as your base. And then you can walk to the bowl. You can walk to a lot of good restaurants. You got pubs or saloons or however you want to watering hole, and then there's beautiful sights too. I mean, you can go see the North Sea. You can go to the harbor. You can go. There's some beautiful parks that I walk through. Lots of great stuff here, and it's more. People come for the bowling, yes, but then there's more to it than that.
sure.
And I think that's why so many people really enjoy coming to the tournament. So we got some new players in front of us. We got, looks like Tom Hess. Arner, he's quite the player. I'm very impressed with him. He can really bowl. Not that everybody else here isn't talented either, but man, I tell you what, he's done some bowling in America and it certainly has been impressive.
I was just going to come back to Tom Hess, though, and speak a little bit about his season that he just had on the PBA 50 Tour.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
5 titles and the Tournament of Champions for Tom Hess this year on the Senior Tour. Last year 2 years ago he was Player of the Year, or Rookie of the Year, I believe.
I think it was Player of the Year, too.
Was he Player? He was Player and Rookie of the Year, right?
I don't know if it was both. I'm not sure. But I definitely know he definitely was Player of the Year as well.
Yeah, so pretty amazing senior career for Tom Hess. Of course, he won the 2011 Masters. Bowled on tour for a decent amount of time. But I tell you what, he's kind of been like John Janowitz.
It's impressive. I mean, I had a chat with Tom, a very quick one. I just said how impressive his season was and congratulated him on all the latest win, of course, at the TOC. And we had a little conversation, and it's not often you can say I'm going to win 5 PBA titles on tour and not win Player of the Year pretty much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I told him how we have to appreciate both of them. Both JJ and Tom as well, and even Mika. Making 8 shows in a row there.
Yeah.
It's super impressive, and I think it's awards are awards, but I think it's more about the appreciation and the fact that we've seen greatness pretty much over there every week, and you just have to appreciate the fact that these bowlers are so good and what they can do, and they can do it consistently week in and week out.
Yeah, I certainly agree. If you think the competition is lackadaisical out on the senior tour, I mean, the guys you just talked about and what they're doing is, I'll tell you what, you better be well prepared when you go out there to be in a fight to bowl well against those guys. Pretty high level competition out there.
Exactly, and it comes down to, you know, any tournament in a way. Like, it really doesn't matter. Of course, the higher the competition level, the more difficult you can perceive the tournament to be, or your chances of winning. But regardless, every time you show up, you have to be so good at whatever you do. You know, of course, you have to get lucky a lot of times, but every tournament, especially on any of the tours, you know, for you to be so consistent and be making show after show after show, like, that takes a lot of talent and skill and knowledge to be so successful.
Absolutely. So we have an updated cut number here. Cut is plus 72 for our players to advance into the next step. So roughly about that's what is that? 224? If my math's correct. 224 average right now.
I don't think that's correct. 72 divided by 2
Oh, I thought it was game after
36,
game.
I think.
Man, I tell you
My
what.
friend, it's been a long week, isn't it?
Well, they had the concert playing last night
there
till
you go.
about 12:30, so I'm a little short on the sleep. So that's going to be 36.
Yes.
236. I thought we were through game 3. That tells you
We'll
where
get
I'm
there
at.
soon. We'll get there soon.
So 236 average right now to be in the cut. Our leader currently plus 133, so he's averaging a healthy clip so far. But on this pattern, it seemed like those middle games could be pretty tricky for the players. Is that what you were seeing?
Right, and actually, this is very interesting to watch now, because we've got some new players to come in these pairs that we just watched. You know, we watched the same pairs the last game, and we saw a couple of 270s and a 300. Granted, the 300 came from a left-handed player.
Yep.
But watch these first couple of shots. A lot of them went light. And I think we see a 2-4-10 right there. We see a 2-8-10 on lane 7. I think what's been happening, and we've seen that quite often, obviously, you know, there was a decent amount of urethane thrown on fresh. So obviously the pattern is now being stretched a little bit. And I think what you were talking about transition, this is where the time where some of the players will start transitioning to the reactive balloon balls and then making their adjustments. And it's really just fighting how much angle you need to get through the front, and you have to find the friction a little bit. So I think that's where the challenge came from, is really making that transition from your urethane ball to a reactive ball. And there were some players that tried to use urethane for the whole block, and a few of them had success doing that, but majority of the scores that we saw that came, you know, later in the week were the ones that started with urethane for maybe a game or 2 games, and then kind of tried to transition to a reactive ball and then curve it a little bit more and use the carry on as their push.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple interesting players here to talk about. Nathan Bohr, obviously, I just saw his name scroll across. He had 279 or 278 the last game. He made it in on the turbo.
Right.
Shooting 300 the last game on the turbo, because 299 was Carl.
Yep.
So, I mean, what's the
It's an
odds of that?
interesting story.
That's and now here he is. He looks like he, you know, if he does well the next 4 games, he's going to be, you know, going into the next step. Of course, Danielle McEwen is the high woman of the tournament right now, so obviously hats off to her. You know, I know she probably didn't have the season she wanted to on the PWBA tour, but I think there's been some injury with her arm, I think, has been going on, and you can see she's got it taped up there. So she's kind of been battling that, but really, really talented player there. And so hats off to her for being the high female of the tournament, no matter how she does this round. And then, of course, on the left side, Dennis Grunheid from Germany. Pretty good left-handed player there. I bowled against Dennis a few times over here, and as one left-hander to another, he's got some talent. He can play. Do you think there's in your mind, and I'm going to put you on the spot. I don't mean to ask you a tough question here,
Okay.
blindside you, but do you, in your mind right now, watching it, how do you feel about the left side and right side equity? You feel pretty good about it?
I'm okay with it. Yes, I don't see a major disadvantage for one or another.
Yep.
As we saw in qualifying, we had high scores from the left side and the right side as well.
Yep.
In the finals, we see quite a few left-handers. We see quite a few right-handers as well, and I think that's what we usually want to see.
Yep.
Of course, we're going to see how the finals end up and such, but I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, you know, we saw a little bit of everything. We see a couple of one-handers that are left-handers, and we see a couple of two-handers, obviously, that are very successful with it. So
Yep.
I think there were a couple of left-handers that went a little straighter through the front, and then we'll have a couple that are trying to curve it a little bit, which, you know, I think that gives them a chance, you know. And then obviously, you know, we're still having right-handers scoring very, very high, so, and keeping up with the left-hand when they're scoring high as well. So,
Yep.
so I think when I look at it this way, I think I'm happy with it. I don't see, you know, any issue with that or whatsoever. So.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. From you know, like you said, I think there's some two-handers, there's some one-handers. You know, in this step right now, there's 7 left-handers in the top 36. So, you know, that's probably what 18-19% maybe. But I think there's a lot of left-handers that came out to bowl.
Yeah, there's quite a few, and I mean, if you look at the general audience of the tournament,
Yep.
I mean, there was definitely a lot of left-handers, and I think the percentage that made it into it is fair. And
Yeah, I think so
like I
too.
said,
Yeah.
I think, you know, we had quite a few left-handers in the final step 1 last night. Some of them unfortunately didn't make it through, so obviously there was still a chance for them to make it, and but obviously there's still quite a few that remain, and we're just going to see how the tournament develops. It's also interesting to watch the final steps when you start to put those, you know, if there's more left-handers on those pairs, you know, how they deal with their transition. Even though I would say, like, there was lots of squads that had quite a few left-handers,
I would
so we
agree.
can say that there was, you know, one squad there was only one left-hander. Like, I felt like every squad had at least a couple left-handers, and I felt like they crossed with one another quite
Yep.
well. And
That's what I like about the size of Olympia, 20 lanes. So, you know, nobody's really just going to have anything to themselves. You know, I think that increases the fairness level there because, you know, and I can say as a left-hander, you know, when you do cross here, generally you're gonna have a decent amount of left-handers. There's some interesting numbers here. So Daniel just provided us the lane talk. I think is phenomenal, by the way. How about
Lots
a
of
plug for
useful
lane talk?
information.
Okay, because this is pretty cool. So we just got some numbers from Daniel Ronbeck. So 1 and 2 lanes, 1 and 2, which are out, they are not being used right now. Okay, the highest average pair in the building at 203.33. Strike percentage was, what's that? Sorry, am I reading that wrong?
strike
Percentage?
No, it's not strike
No.
percentage. That's the average strike per lane.
That's strike percentage.
No, it can be.
No, number of strikes.
Number of strikes. Average number of strikes per game. So that's pretty interesting. So lane 1 and 2 average 203, 3 and 4 198, 5 and 6 197, 7 and 8 198, 9 and 10 195, 11 12 195, 13 14 196, 15 16 196, 17 18 197. So the hardest pair, technically, according to the average here, the numbers, is 19 and 20 with a 192 average. So it's averaging 6 pins less per game than the highest, well, 5.4 pins per game less than the highest pair, if I read that right.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting to look at this data because in general I think the score, like the average score is pretty consistent between the pairs, right? Which
Very
I
good.
think
That's what you
wanna
want to see.
that,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But I also see another interesting thing is that a lot of, how many times do you hear, oh, I don't want to go on the end pair because
Yeah.
end pairs are always funky and stuff like that. And in this case, the end pair was actually the highest.
Yeah. One and two.
But what is interesting is one end pair is the highest scoring one, and the other one is the lowest scoring one.
Yeah.
So sometimes I guess you just never know which end pair is going to be good or bad.
Yeah.
And of course, there's so many variables that could fluctuate this data. There could be some topography
Yep.
things going on a lane. There could be, who you bowl with is
Who
very,
you
very
follow.
important. Who you follow,
Yep.
what happened on, in practice on these pairs, and
Yep. All right, so let's have a hot button topic discussion here, just because I think we can have a logical discussion and maybe provide some reason to everybody that happens to listen to this. And I don't know how many people are going to. Hopefully, Daniel's advertising this because I think this is going to be some good discussion. So, over the past probably 48 hours, there's been a lot of talk about the amount of volume applied to the lanes here at the Lucky Larsen Masters, and some players are critiquing the amount of volume applied. How do you feel about where we're at in the current state of bowling? And if you want to plead the fifth, feel free to plead the fifth. Okay. But how do you feel about the current amount of volume levels that we're seeing being applied in our tournaments or a tournament such as this?
I am all about the variety in bowling. I personally, to be honest, don't care if it's going to be 15 mils on a lane, 20 mils, 25, 30, 35. I honestly would like to see a variety. I would like to maybe have an event to where I would put out 20 mils.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd put 15 mils and see what happens. And
Yep.
all I can tell is that over the last 3 years, I actually, since the topic was pretty hot, I was sitting down on my computer, of course, because at Kegel we study every single event that we do.
Yep.
We have forms that we fill after each event. We file our records and what we observe.
Yep.
We'll record everything that we do with the lane machine. We record every single thing that we see on the lanes. So we record the scoring pace. We chat about it every day. And this will be no exception. We're going to have a good conversation about what happened and what our players are saying and why they're saying that and where we're seeing this. And I know one thing, I will be back to Florida next week and actually will be going straight back on the lanes and testing some other patterns. But all I'm going to say is that over the last 3 years, when I looked at like 20 patterns or something, we had a variety between 20 mils and 35 mils. And we saw some similar results.
Mm-hmm.
The outcomes of some of those tournaments were very similar.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the nature of today's bowling world,
Yep.
especially on the European side. Like I said, I don't want to go into super details and stuff. We have a bunch of information that I can provide when we can sit down on the table anytime.
Yep.
So whoever wants to approach me, feel free. I'm always open to having a conversation and then talking about it. And we have a bunch of data that we can show, and we study and analyze every event that we go to.
Yep.
But like I said, I'm all about variety. I don't mind putting that. But in today's environment also, when we give some seminars, I try to give this kind of like a little bit of a formula of what kind of trying to understand what the bowling environment is doing, right? So we know that the rev rates of the players are obviously going drastically up.
Yes.
If you look at the average of, there was some comparisons. Well, 10 years we did this, or the volumes were lower. Well, 10 years the equipment wasn't as strong for sure. The average rev rate on whether it's on tour or youth bowling in Europe or junior golds in the U.S. Were a little lower.
Yep.
And it's actually interesting because if you think about even the PBA tour, let's say if 10, 15 years ago the average rev rate, let's say, was 400, right?
Yeah.
it might be 500 now, right? So that's a good chunk of percentage, that's gone up. So another thing is obviously the lane surface. The friction on the lane surface is increasing every time a bowling ball is being thrown on there, pretty much. So there's a fine balance between that. So the rev rate is creating friction on the lane.
Yep.
The lane surface itself is creating friction on the lane. The bowling balls are getting stronger every time, it seems like, as well. And bowling ball companies are trying to obviously, come up with the latest and greatest technology and improve their products as well. And that usually results in a more performance out of the bowling ball. So, and again, we have to battle that as well. So I think there's a fine line between that, whether we have to decide if we want to see lots of urethane thrown, or do we want to see lofting being happening on the lanes? Do we want the players to play the fifth arrow every single time? Or do we want something like this, for example, where yes, there might have been some urethane thrown, and of course everyone knows there's gear down, but we also haven't seen many players to get inside a fourth arrow, which I think is pretty good. I like to see that. And so once again, there's like I said, I'm all about the variety. I don't mind. I think we could work with everything. Actually, it was one of the I think last weekend in Florida there was an event. It was a dual pattern event, and one lane had a pretty heavy volume pattern, and the other lane had I believe it was the Team Masters pattern.
Yeah, like a 8 mil pattern.
Yeah,
right?
so like I'm okay with that because it's all about like what challenge do you give to the bowlers,
Yep.
So, maybe this week was the challenge to where, players have to battle the carry down.
Yep.
Like, it's just plain and simple. Like,
Yep.
find a way to battle it or find a way to bowl with them, Maybe next week it's going to be a battle of lofting.
Yep.
Like, and maybe, we're going to have that. So, to me, it's just about, it's just about fine-tuning the balance or finding the right balance for the bowling center, finding the right balance for the event, kind of matching up to what the expectation is for the event and the pattern as well. So like I said, it's the overall volume is just a number in a way, right?
It doesn't tell the whole story.
Exactly. I'm not going to go into all details about. I'm just going to put this story. Last year, this event, it actually had a little bit more volume, and there was about probably 30 or 40% more down the lane.
Yep.
And I had players that came to me and asked for more volume.
Yep.
And this year, the pattern actually had slightly less volume. It had drastically less down the lane, and I asked for less volume this year. So I, as you know, as a bowler, probably as many bowlers you're gonna ask, you're gonna have different opinions every single time. So I'm not here to say that we're always doing the right thing, but at least we're trying.
You're
we're
trying,
studying.
yeah.
We're gathering data every single time we go to an event. We note it down, we get back, and we keep trying again. So,
Yeah, and I think as a bowler, or former bowler anyways, the word that you used a lot, Christus, was variety. And I think that's really, really important. I think it's, offering tournament to tournament or year to year to year, and we already kind of hit on it a little bit, offering something different, a different challenge for the players, so that every year it's something new. And I've always said, the lanes are going to tell me what they want from me. It's my job to give the lanes what they want, and that's it. It's me in the lane. I'm really not bowling against anybody else. I'm actually just bowling against the lanes. It's me against the pattern,
Right.
and I'm just trying to create good ball motion. And I think if you go in and you just keep it focused on that, I think more times than not, probably you're going to find more success. But maybe that's me just looking at it with rose-colored lenses on. I don't know. But obviously this week there's been plenty of people to figure it out. There's been plenty of people that didn't figure it out. But I think either way, 4 mils here or 4 mils there, I think, like you said, it is just a number. And there's so many other variables that you got to account for when you're making these patterns, deciding how much volume you're going to put down, where you're going to apply the volume, obviously, because the total volume, just once again, that's just a small piece of the story. how it's applied, when it's applied. So there's a lot to it. I think it's pretty tough just to say it was too much or not enough. I think that, to me, that strikes me as a statement. I think that's a hard statement to make because I see this as being a very, very successful event. And I'm not trying to bash anybody out there for making comments that, oh, it was too much or yada, yada, yada. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is Daniel, Patrick, Martin, everybody involved with this event, and Kegel and you worked tirelessly. And you put a lot of thought, effort, and consideration when you're doing your pattern testing, and you try to put out the best product you can. And I think some days in bowling as a bowler, some days you get the bear, and some days the bear gets you. And so you just you tip your hat to the guys that work really hard to give you a place to play, and then you move on to the next one.
Exactly, and that's what I said. This next upcoming week, I'm going to be back at the training center.
Yep.
Testing some different patterns for some different events, and like I said, over the last 4 years, 3 years, whatever you want to call it, we've done a lot of events around the world, and we've tried different shapes, we tried different volumes, we tried different application lengths and stuff like that, and we tried different lengths. We tried some unusual shapes, we tried some more standard shapes, and we just observe what's happening, and at Kegel, everyone that pretty much works with the patterns, we're all bowlers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
as much as sometimes lane man programs the machine, but we bowl on all our stuff. We watch every single squad. We test things beforehand, and you were around. I came in the earlier part of the tournament. I came in and I bowled on leftovers and what happened, just to kind of see what it feels like. So I record all that stuff. We take notes of every event, like I said before, and then which makes it an interesting thing. Like I think I spoke about it in the last time we were sitting here, and I'm a bowling geek, so I want to know that information. I want to have those conversations. Like sometimes it's interesting for me. Most of the times it's interesting for me to hear what the players think, and I want to know their opinion, of course. And that's why we sit here and watch all these events and try to observe what's happening, and if we really think there was an issue, we're gonna try to fix it next year. That's what Kegel was always all about, is trying to find a solution to some of the problems that we face in bowling, and then we just work on products or patterns or lane machines that we can solve some of those problems that we face, or we hear from the bowlers.
Yeah, and I think you got to take a little pause and just recognize the fact that Kegel supports a lot of high level bowling all over the world. I'm gonna brag a little bit about Storm. We're the bowlers company. We're all bowlers. We all really, really love the sport of bowling, and we care about the sport of bowling. We want to see bowling succeed. So we go above and beyond to sponsor a lot of bowling events, sponsor a lot of opportunities for the youth. We go above and beyond to do that because we're bowlers and we love bowling. So to group the industry as a evil cabal that's just conspiring to enrich itself, by putting more volume out, I don't think that's a fair statement. I think it's we're all bowlers and we all love bowling. We want to see bowling flourish, and we're just doing the best we can.
Sure. And honestly, lots of volume, no volume, medium volume, someone's always going to win, right? There's always going to be a winner, and there's always going to be a guy that's going to match up better than the other ones, because they're going to figure out the trick with their hand, or get the right equipment, or get the right ball speed, or get the right roll. So there's always going to be a winner. It's just a matter of what we see on the lanes, in a way, and then what do we give these bowlers to battle. And like I said, to me, it's all about trying to create a challenge, and over the last few years, of course, I felt like there was a little bit of that art has been lost a little bit.
Yeah.
So we kind of, if we had a pretty good separation between like different, let's say, challenges that we can request, I felt like that's gotten a little bit closer to one another. So, as a lot of patterns turn out playing similar or requiring to do the same thing kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these last 2 years was actually a pretty good example that we can still do quite a few things with the patterns and actually request bowlers to do different things. And like I said, last year we had a pattern that required for you to play far in and be close to the head pin and not give away the ball to the pocket so much. And this year is a different story, which to me that makes me feel better about it, just because.
I think that's great.
Yeah, that's good. Like I said, I think we've created different. We asked the bowlers to do two different things 2 years in a row, and I'm happy about it.
As a bowler, I really the big thing that I love to see is I want to see more emphasis on physical skill and mastery. I want I don't want to be a victim of circumstance. I want to be, hey, if I'm really sharp and I'm really prepared and I'm in shape and I'm well practiced and I'm mentally strong, I'm going to have a chance to be competitive. Now, I may not be able to create the winning ball reaction, right? But more times than not, I want to be competitive.
Sure.
And I think that's the most important thing, and I think that's one of the reasons why I come over here as much as I can, because it seems like there's always a way to be competitive. So I think you guys do a great job, and we got some great scores. Daniel's upgrading. Let's talk about scores.
Yeah, let's get back to.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take us off on bowling philosophy
it's okay.
101, but I thought that would be a good conversation just to have for anybody that happened to be listening. I think it's great to have any type of bowling conversation where you can sit down. There's less emotion attached to it. You can just sit down and have a more of an unbiased or just logical, reasonable discussion
Well,
about what's
again,
going on.
and again, just to kind of finish up on this, like I said, everyone's got their own opinion, and it's perfectly fine. You're totally free to have your own opinion, and like I said, it's always good to try something. I don't have anything against trying things and maybe running some tournaments. I just want to make sure it's tested.
Yep.
It's ready for the event.
Yep.
It matches up to what the center is doing,
Yep.
and
then it stays consistent.
and then it stays consistent throughout the week, and we can put out the same thing. I will just mention, this week, obviously there was no issues with like cleaning the lanes. There was no issues with the pin setters. There was no issues with the ball returns. Everything ran as smooth as possible, and hopefully the remainder of the event will stay just like that.
So we got some really good scoring out there. We got the current cut plus 97, so 697 for 3, so a 233 average, just about. Our leader, Eric Larsen, 179 over for 3, 279, 247, 253. That's pretty darn impressive. Theodore Samuelson in 5th. He had that 300 game in Game 2. So he went 230, 300, 211. So he obviously hit a pair that was a little less than desirable than the other one. And how about Martin Larsen, the local, the pride of Sweden here? He's hanging in there. Dom Barrett, very nice, 276 last game he was covered on our stream pairs. Jesper Svensson, another local favorite from John Scott's over in Gothenburg, and he is currently in 11th at 716 for 3, so plus 716, plus 116. So we got a lot of good action going. Just nipping at the heels of the cut, E.J. Tackett, number 1 in the world. And
half games to go.
Still
So
got
I
3
think
games to go.
These,
So
these middle games are, I think,
Yep.
important because those are the games where that transition happens, and
Yep.
I think bowlers will start to adjust a little bit and make some ball changes, and this is where we're gonna see who's gonna figure out the best.
Yep. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in. We're going to take a break and take a coffee, go out, watch some of the action. But thanks for tuning in. Hope we had some good discussion for you. Enjoy the action from the Storm Lucky Larsen Masters 2024 here in Helsingborg at Olympia.
Good morning out there, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching the final step 2 here at the Storm Lucky Larsen Masters 2024 in beautiful Helsingborg, Sweden. And if you haven't watched before, now they are playing 6 games, and it's the top 36 that are playing at this moment. And the top 16 will advance to match play. And to be at the top 16 right now is the cut 124. So actually, you want to go high, but still, number one focus is to make the cut, top 16, because then it's match play, and you all know that anything can happen when it comes to match play. They will bowl 3 games total score. So 16 will be 8, 8 will be 4, and then we have the final, and someone will be a PBA champion today in Sweden. How cool is that? So stay tuned, and I'm gonna be here. I'm Niklas Linderholm from Baltic, Sweden, one of the partners to the Storm Lucky Larsen Masters tournament. And they are, there you saw Peter Hellström, a local great guy from Sweden. He is a fantastic bowler, and he's actually a coach at the bowling school here in Sweden. And he definitely shows that he can bowl. So we will find out who will be in the top 16. This is the last game out of the 6. So it's very, very close. So it can be anybody who will make it. I'll give you some more results as well. So in the lead right now is Del Guido Mario from Italy. He is plus 271. He's bowling fantastic from Italy. And then you have the super Swede James Blomgren in second, 269 over. Dominic Barrett made the cut for the first time in several years over here in Sweden. And now he is meaning business and is in third, 242 over. Then we have a young lefty from Sweden, Theodor Samuelsson. And on 5th place, we have the guy, he was almost not making the cut. In the last game, he had one more chance, and that was to bowl at 300 to make it the turbo. And Nathan Bohr, he shot 300 to make the cut. So, and the first step in the finals, he was the last guy from last night making it. So Nathan Bohr shows that he is a survivor. And then on 7th place from Iceland, Atna Jonsson. 8th right now is Jesper Svensson. Then we have Marcus Jansson. Martin Larsen himself is in 10th right now, a 155 over. Then we have Paul Purps from Germany, 142. Robin Ilhammar, 139. Ludwig Ingerskog, the guy from the north who his bowling balls got lost when he traveled, and so he needed to skip his first squad because he needed to stay in Copenhagen, Denmark, and wait for his stuff. And when he finally got them the day after, he went in and started with a perfect game. So yeah, that was a pretty cool story by Ludwig from Boden. He is 136 over. And 15th from Germany, we have Dennis Grünheld, 131. And at this very moment, the last spot is a Danish guy, Tim Stampe. And the Denmark has had really nice success at the Lucky Larsen with 2 wins by Karsten, and also last year was Ankardal. So Denmark has won this tournament twice. Will Tim be the third? But he is 124 over and the cut right now. But I can tell you, there are quite a few people hunting him. Closest right now is Pontus Andersson, just 3 pins behind. 4 pins behind is the super lefty from Sweden, Alvin Kvarnström. And then there is a bunch of, 118, 116, 114. So I would say actually that there are, in this last game, I would say it's almost 30 players that still have the chance out of the 36. I would say that Wesley Lowe, who is in the last spot right now, sorry, but that's not going to happen. Martin Paulsson, our plus 50 guy from Sweden, had a great run last night, but he thought it was an advantage to be older. He gets up early in the morning, but he won't have the chance to make it, unfortunately. And right now we have Marcus Jansson. He has a 8-bagger going, and he's already sitting in 9th place, so he's for sure just making sure he is in the top 16. Would be cool if we can see a perfect game, the last one. So the only advantage you have of being number 1 after this final step 2 is that you will, on paper, meet the worst bowler. Is number 16, but who knows? That could be EJ Tackett, it could be Lucky Larsen, it could be, it could be anybody. So head to head, anything can happen. And unfortunately, Marcus left the 10 pin, so we did not see a perfect game over there. But we are watching some really, really high scores, which is what you expect when you watch so many good bowlers from the world playing at the same time. There you see Tom Haas. He has done a great job on PBA 50 this year with 5 tour titles, which is unbelievable. And we heard before that Tom, didn't have his most successful time on the PBA tour, but after turning 50, and he has been being better and better all the time. So he is a fantastic bowler and a person, and you can tell he really enjoys bringing his time here in Sweden. So he actually brought his wife as well this time, and he bowled good pretty early, so they had some time to relax, play some golf, and enjoying the best of what Helsingborg can offer, which is a lot. So if you haven't been here before, make sure that you visit the city of Helsingborg. I promise you, it's a treat. And of course, summertime is definitely the best way to be here. So we're getting closer to the finish of the final step 2. And if you are just starting to watch, it's the 36 remaining players that are bowling at this point, bowling 6 games, and the top 16 will advance. And they will not carry any numbers, so it's just making sure that you're in the top 16. Then it's match play, so I think people just want to make that, and looking forward to some really great matches today. So stay tuned and make sure that you are have some time from the computer or wherever you are. And here we see Martin Larsen, Lucky Larsen himself. Will he? Great shot. And this is, how cool would that be if we got Mr. Lucky Larsen winning his first PBA title ever, and to do that in Sweden. I know that there is quite a few people that, especially on the lanes, that they wish for him to get one, but not today. But I think we're a lot of people out there that really hope for Larsen to get his first title, and what a special way to do it in his own tournament in Sweden in front of the home crowd. That would be amazing. Pontus Andersson shows that he is on fire, and he definitely will continue to be in the top 16 if he continues with that game. And Larsen is sitting in 10th, 142, and the cut is 124. So 30 pins to, but there are some high scores out there, so you need to keep it up all the way to make sure that you advance. For me personally, it's my first time watching Mario Del Guido from Italy. That guy can bowl, and 271 over after 5 games in this final step, and he just keeps on going. Now he made a split this time, but still, if he goes off the sheet, he can still, he could be on top, and as the number 1 seed, if James Blomgren doesn't shoot any humongous score. Have on lane 17, Robin Ilhammar is one of the young Swedish kids that we will see a lot of in the future. One of those two-handers that can throw the ball and hook it right to left or left to right. You know, they can really do some magic with that ball. There was Ludwig Ingerskog, the 300 guy from Boden, picking up his spare. And he is sitting in 14th, so he also have a couple of pins. But Pontus is shooting a big game, so he has a good effort to make the top 16. Wow, this is gonna be close. Ouch, ouch, ouch. And we saw 7-10. Yeah, you don't need a bad break right now if you want to be. There's another open on lane 18. And Artnar Jonsson, he has a great crowd over there in the audience, and he's been bowling very, very well. And he is sitting in, yeah, he's 181, so it looks like he's gonna shoot the 210s, 220 for a double in the 10th, so he should be good to advance. Oh, Pontus, he opened in the 8th. Okay, he can still shoot 240 though. That will definitely take him into a spot in the top 16. And Mario showed that he's human. He threw a pretty bad shot, but got away with the 9. Yeah, these last couple of frames, it will for sure decide if there's some pressure involved, because here is really the main step you want to be at. Top 16 gives you the opportunity to go head to head and advance in this PBA tournament. Larsen, light hit, 2 pin. Yeah, one bad shot in these last frames and you could be out. And Pontus Andersson, he left the 2-8. And I promise you he will not go through it. He will hook the hell out of this ball to pick it up, and yes he did. So being the first guy out of the cut, he needs, I'm pretty sure that he needs to at least double in the 10th to have a chance. And Andrew got a 5-bagger. Andrew, who is sitting in 20th right now, is 116 over, so he's actually 8 pins. So he's one of the guys that also Pontus is to climb in there. Oh, this is going to be so tight. It could be, you could be in 10th and fall out, and you can be, 25 and make it. So, wow. Come on, Larsen. Great shot. But will it be enough? 228 if he strikes out. And Ludwig is also, he has the chance to bowl at 258, and if he does that, he is for sure advancing. Atnar Jonsson throws the first one in the 10th, and he's definitely safe with that one, because he was 181 before. So we have top 16 one from Iceland for sure. There you go, Larsen. He I think he secured his spot right there. Pontus threw the first one in the 10th. But will it be enough? Yeah, that's hard to say. Because those that are outside right now, Pontus Andersson, Alvin Kvarnström, Eric Devolio from Italy, and Andrew Anderson. I mean, they are just a couple of pins behind. And Andrew, is this a shot to make it? Oh, man! I promise you that felt good, that messenger. Yeah, he is definitely making a run for it. And if he shoots a 240-47, he will definitely make it. One more to be sure. Could be enough already, but Pontus did not hit that one, so that means Andrew also passed him. So Pontus, now it's gonna take a miracle if he's gonna advance. Sitting here with the tournament director Daniel Rönnbeck, and he is calculating as much as he can to see who's gonna be. It's so hard to follow because there's so many scores out there right now, and it's so close. And Ludwig Ingeskog is 10th frame. If you make this one, he did. So I can say that Boden will also have a guy in the top 16. Boden is a city way up north here in Sweden. So it's when you fly there, it's like flying to Rome in Italy in the other direction. So it's just for you to understand that it's a while and to fly. And Mario, he can just finish this off. Relaxed, doesn't matter, doesn't need to strike. And Ludwig, boom. Yeah. That's cool. So we will have Italy, Sweden, England, USA, Iceland, Germany in the finals. Will there be a Danish? I don't know. How's Tim doing? Can we see that? Tim Stampe. What did he shoot his last game?
234.
234 on his last game. So ooh, that should keep him in there for sure. Dennis. Next one is Dennis Grünheid, Germany. We'll see. We try to
206.
206. That means that Tim passed him for sure. So 206. That means that he is 137 over. And that's Andrew passed him. Pontus passed him. Andrew got Pontus by just 4 pins. But it should be enough. Up now 197. Fantastic job. And Ludwig 194. Larsen 183. Wow. We'll just have to wait until everything is done. But it's going to be close. You're watching the best bowling in Europe, that is for sure. And Mike Bergman is finishing off with a 290 if he strikes the last shot. And that gives him 175. And whoa, that would also take him into a spot. I mean, oh my god. Interesting. 9 last shot, 289. What a finish. Puts him into 174. And just behind Larsen, who had 183.
158 cut.
The cut is 158.
1358.
Let me see.
Anders out.
Who was it?
Alvin Kvarnström.
Alvin Kvarnström, the young lefty from playing AIK in Stockholm, was the last in the top 16. My god. We will continue with 1 o'clock here in Swedish time with the top 16. So stay tuned and see you guys in a bit. Niklas Linderholm over and out.
You sick fucker. You sick. Oh shit, that bear fucked me up so bad. Oh, you about tripling. Tricked. I heard your hook in the first one. I was like, yes. Did I need it? Yes.